In the prosperous kingdom of Marandia, loyalty and honor shaped the lives of its people. The royal family revered those with virtue, and the king himself was known for his wisdom and fairness. Among his most trusted advisors was Daru, a nobleman of great influence. Before Daru passed, he left a solemn instruction: his younger son, Heli, was to succeed him as the king's right-hand man. Heli was everything his father hoped for. Wise, kind, brave and loved by the people because of his kindness. But his rise did not sit well with his mother. His mother, Arena, and elder brother, Thero, were not happy about their late father's decision. They believed Thero, as the eldest, should inherit the position. They accepted it in honor of their father and agreed to support Heli. One day, a young lady, Lyra, who liked Heli but he always refused and avoids her, rushed into the palace of the king. With fear and tears, Lyra appeared before the king and council, claiming Heli had sexually assaulted her. The accusation sent shockwaves through the kingdom, tarnishing Heli's admirable reputation. Heli's girlfriend, Carrie, after hearing the news was shocked and never believed it. So she ran to Heli's house to confirm the news. Despite his protests of innocence, the council decided the truth would be determined by the kingdom's oracle, a sacred and impartial judge of justice. The air was heavy as Heli, Lyra, and the royal court gathered at the shrine of the oracle. The priest of the oracle began the ancient rituals to summon the god's judgment. The verdict was swift and devastating. The oracle declared that Heli was guilty of the crime. Cries of outrage filled the chamber and the whole village. Heli was bewildered and dumbfounded. In an instant, Heli was struck blind and crippled as a divine punishment. His mother and brother, cloaked in sorrow. Arena cried bitterly for her son, and Thero also was greatly in pain for the calamity that has happened to his brother. Although the judgment was passed, Kira, Heli's girlfriend, never believed that her boyfriend was capable of that. She cried her eyes out and holding Heli's hand. This was a shocking news to the entire village, as some people believed Heli cannot do that even though the oracle has passed judgment. While some people believed he had done it and he deserves the punishment. Thero was soon appointed the king's new right-hand man and his reign started. Arena, mother of Heli, drove him away from the house because of the shame he has brought upon the family. Heli was left to his own fate and he did not know where to go and what to do, as he was both crippled and blind. Stripped of his dignity, he wandered the outskirts of the kingdom, relying on the kindness of strangers. Despite his suffering, he clung to the hope that the truth would one day emerge. His brother, Thero, forgot about him and went ahead to marry his girlfriend Kira, even though it was out of her will. Her father forced the marriage because he wanted her daughter to marry a royal. So, as Heli was disgracefully stripped of his royalty, he forced Kira to marry Thero. As years passed, Heli lived in an abandoned hut in the forest, and he hoped that one day the truth will finally be out. He asked the gods so many questions because now he thinks they do not like him, as they have accused him of a crime he did not commit. He has a friend named Utumi, who visited him often and brought him food and kept him company. Thero basked in his new power, his arrogance grew. He ruled with cruelty and greed, tarnishing the legacy of his father. Whispers began to spread about his rise to power, and suspicions arose among the villagers. The king became worried as Thero became a thorn in his flesh. He never respected the king and his council of elders. One day the king became ill and Thero was now the interim king, as the king sought to be healthy again. Thero spread rumors about the king's failing health, positioning himself as the rightful ruler. He tarnished the king's image by spreading false rumors about the king, aiming to weaken the monarch's authority and claim the throne for himself. The council of elders were afraid of him, as they couldn't stop him. Everyone was afraid of Thero, and he has the support of his mother. One night, something strange happened. The whole village was attacked by deadly insects. Anyone who goes out and gets bitten by this insect will die." This was strange. The next morning, a lot of people had died and the kingdom was in a disaster. The king on his sickbed heard the news and was shocked and wondered why this has happened. Pharaoh was also shocked, but he only thinks about himself and his family. They summoned a meeting with the council. During the meeting, something strange happened. People rushed into the palace in tears as all the male sons in the village were going blind. Even Pharaoh's son went blind. The news reached the king on his sickbed and he knew what was wrong. He said to himself, "An innocent soul is crying." The king told the elder who told him the news that this has happened before in the village, and his late father told him why it was happening and who to call for help. Pharaoh on the other hand starts to spread false news that it is because of the king's secret atrocities that has made disaster befall the village. Some of the elders were in support of him and some were not. Pharaoh summoned the chief priest for answers and directions. The whole village assembled at the palace. The chief priest said, "The king must be present before he can speak." The king was carried and brought to the gathering. Surprisingly, the chief priest said, the king was the one behind all the calamity, as he has been doing bad deeds that has made the gods angry and that has caused his sickness. The elders were surprised and some did not believe it. Pharaoh stood up and said, "Yes, I said it, but no one believed me." He asked for the king's head. After some minutes of chaos and argument, an old man with a white beard and hair wearing a white garment appeared and everyone was afraid. He said to them, "Why do you allow an innocent voice bring this upon you?" No one understood. He then asked the elders to go and bring Heli. Pharaoh asked the man who he was and why should Heli be part of this. He answered, "The evil men do will be the evil that will befall them." Everyone was silent and shocked. Few minutes later, Utumi and Heli arrived at the gathering. The old man looked at the chief priest, Pharaoh and Arena. He told them to confess or they faced the calamity. They asked what they had done and they denied doing anything wrong. The chief priest wanted to spiritually challenge the man, but he failed as he was more powerful than him. He cast a spell on the three of them and they started to talk. Not knowing, the three of them planned and the accusation and punishment of Heli and then cast a spell on him for him to be blind and crippled. Lyra, the lady who accused Heli, had ran away from the kingdom years ago and it was rumored that she died while in child labor. The chief priest confessed that he had an affair with Arena whilst her husband was alive and his son is Pharaoh. Arena went to the chief priest and told him that his son must be the right-hand man of the king and they planned something against Heli. He also planned with Pharaoh to make the king sick so he can be king. After confessing, the whole village was shocked and Heli was in tears and he said, "But what did I do to deserve this?" Instantly, Heli regained his sight and his legs started to work again. Pharaoh, his mother and the chief priest went blind and crippled instantly and the king was healed at once. Kira, who was then Heli's girlfriend, now Pharaoh's wife, burst into tears and he went to hug Heli and said, "I am really sorry." He saw Utumi, and they hugged and they were all happy. The whole village angrily called for the head of the chief priest, Arena and Pharaoh. The elders communicated and passed a judgment. They sentenced three of them to death by beheading. The village was happy as three of them cried for mercy. But Heli said, "Please forgive them, at least let them live like this. The punishment is enough." The old man smiled and said, "That is why the gods fought for you." The story of Heli teaches us that truth, no matter how deeply buried, will eventually surface. Envy and deceit lead to ruin, while kindness, patience, and forgiveness triumph in the end. Innocence may suffer temporarily, but justice is inevitable, and those who remain steadfast in goodness will find their vindication. Please like and subscribe for more interesting stories.